Welcome everyone to Last Song Standing. I'm Cole Krishna.
And I'm Charles Holmes. And in this fourth season of Last Song Standing, Cole and I have been debating our way through some of the best albums of the 21st century in order to crown the last album standing.
Last episode, Kendrick Lamar's Good Kid, Mad City went against Kendrick Lamar's To Pimp a Butterfly. Ultimately, To Pimp a Butterfly came out on top.
But on today's episode,
it has all come down to this.
It's all come down to this. It is finally the Royal fucking Rumble. We are pitting the greatest albums of the 21st century so far against each other. Can I quickly go down the list of albums that have made it to the finale?
Yeah, let's do it.
Kanye West's My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, Beyonce's Lemonade, Eminem's Marshall Mathers LP, Daft Punk's Discovery, Doom and Madlib's Madvillainy, Frank Ocean's Blonde, Kendrick's To Pimp a Butterfly, and we had Cultural Exchange this entire season. So I brought in a Seat at the Table by Solange. That was an album that you gave me, so that's going to be my pick that I'm putting in here.
And I'm picking Strokes as a sit for my Cultural Exchange assignment. So I'm feeling pretty as balanced as a 9-album list can be. It feels
I'm
pretty
feeling
decent.
So balanced. I thought I was going to be so mad looking at this list. And you can quibble here and there. I think we have honestly as good of a list as we could have in terms of like matching influence and commercial impact with our own personal taste. And I'm very, very happy. But before we get to the Royal Rumble, we've been not just duking it out album versus album. We've had these trivia challenges, and unsurprisingly, the scholar of this podcast, the one who's always dissecting y'all, won, aka me, by
half point. Yeah,
0.5. Now, if you guys have forgotten, our wonderful producer, Justin Sales, was in charge of getting us gifts for this. Justin, are you ready to reveal what I have won? And if it's a hug from you, and you've been doing such a great job during a busy summer, Charles, I would love that.
That, you know what actually is funny? It's not a hug from me, but I figured I'd get you a digital hug from people that I thought were very important in both of your lives. So I went and I sprung, and I lost the receipts, so I can't expense it, for some cameos for some people who are very near and dear to your hearts for different reasons.
Oh, this is so exciting.
And Cole, so Charles won.
Yeah.
But I got them personalized, okay?
Oh, fuck. This is so
This is so exciting. Wait, are you gonna play them right now?
I think we're gonna have to crowd around Cole's phone, and then we can put up the split screen. But okay. Cole, I just sent you yours, and then I'm gonna send you Charles's in a minute.
Dude, this is Justin. This is touche, man. This is like way better than I could.
I know everybody
imagined.
Walks around here being like, Justin's too cool for school. He has a heart of ice, but no, guys, he's a softie. This is amazing. I want to see.
So
this.
it's pep talk. I should stress it's a pep talk for heading into this because we're trying to crown the best album of the century, but like really, this is just like the eternal struggle between you guys. So it's
okay.
The pep talk that both of you need personally.
Okay.
So first up, we got Cole's.
Okay.
Cole, what's up, my man? Just wanted to say what's going on. I know that you have a real long battle against Charles, and just want to let you know that let's get locked in. Let's get locked in for this last final round. I know that you're a huge Sacramento Kings fan. That's a good thing and a bad thing. Biggest thing here, pep talk. Get yourself ready to go against Charles. It's time to go crush it for Justin and the boys. And we appreciate you, man. Good luck. We'll talk to you soon. Let me know how it goes because I want to hear about this. Let's go.
Justin, touche.
How are you feeling?
Let me contextualize for the listeners because probably 99% of them are who the fuck is Jimmer Fredette. No offense. Jimmer Fredette is one of the many draft picks from Sacramento. Sacramento Kings are my favorite team. Unfortunately, I go to every single home game. Jimmer Fredette is historic in the lore of Sacramento Kings history. He's one of our many failed draft picks. We thought he was the next. He was supposed to be the Steph Curry before Steph Curry. things didn't pan out, but he is a legend in Sacramento. We text, me and my buddies that have a King's text message thread, talk about him all the time, way more than we should. So Justin, I'm incredibly impressed that your brain even went there. Beautiful job. Thank you so much.
You seem so happy. You seem beside yourself. Me
and my friends are going to have a ball.
Are you going to send this to the group chat?
Oh, hell yes. Hell yes.
Charles, as the winner, look, I'm sending you yours right now. I'm texting it. I want to preface this by saying, before the season started, you said that you wanted to have a white boy summer.
Yes.
This is part of the white boy summer. I know that like we're getting into fall, but like I want you to like live your last moments of white boy summer.
Oh man, the text just came through. The text just came through. Who is it? I'm nerd. Oh wait, no. Justin, you didn't. You fucking didn't.
Look, Krayshawn isn't on there anymore, so I had to improvise.
Dean Tony, this from Justin and the last song, Standing Team. This goes for Charles Holmes. Charles been talking reckless about how he wants to have them folks, them white boys for the summer. He says also terrible takes in the last song, Standing Team, says that they don't like his selections and what he's talking about for music. Also, he's been a long debate with Cole, and he says he's going to win. So there's the message on them folks. All right, Dan Tony.
Okay.
I'm literally about to start crying. Like, this is like the greatest gift I've been given in years. Like,
so does Jody High Roller, Riff Raff, does he need more or less introduction on this podcast than Jimmer Fredette?
You want to contextualize, Charles?
I just, you know what? Instead of contextualizing who Riff Raff is,
should we just play a little?
I want to play one of my favorite freestyles of all time. If I could find it. For y'all that don't know, Riff Raff was a very popular rapper coming up in around the 2010s. He was whatchamacallit, the inspiration for James Franco's character in Spring Break.
Spring Breakers.
Yeah. Riff Raff has added a lot to culture, and I'm about to play Cole, one of my favorite freestyles.
Oh, the one on Sway?
Of all time.
What's now, man?
I ain't tripping. No, I never be tripping.
Yeah, man.
A special case, I normally wouldn't do it, but since Sway, you know what I'm saying? Sway, I got to.
This is one of my favorite freestyles of all time.
Handshakes, hugs. You want me outside? You want to see me with pancakes and drawers? Take your fat ass to sleep. I'm jumping out the Candy Dakota Grim Reaper Jeep. I put you to sleep. I put you 6 feet deep. Roots in the ground. I blaze pine. I let my top down. I could have played for Washington Redskins. 6 points for a touchdown. I might
Bars.
I love Riff Raff. Yo, Cole, Cole, this is why I love doing this.
This is a great cap on the season. Good job,
This
Justin.
is also why I love Justice so much, because how did you know that Riff Raff was actually going to be the guy?
It felt right. That I actually had to struggle way more to think of someone for Cole than I did for you. I do want to point out that I told Riff Raff that you wanted to have a white boy summer, and he said he'd be talking reckless about how he want to have them white boys for the summer.
Yeah, he did pause and was just like, I don't know if I co-sign that, Charles, but it's fine. Riff Raff, I want to have a white boy summer, but I got something better.
Okay,
I got the two most loving white boys to spend.
You did have them white boys for the summer. 3 if we count CT over here on the board.
CT, my man CT.
4 if we count Kevo.
4 white boys. Damn.
Okay.
Guys, shout out to White Boy Summer, man. Shout out Riff Raff. Fuck yes. Oh, all right. Now, before we get into the meat and potatoes of this episode, you actually had a very, very fun idea. You wanted to reveal what our personal top 10s were. And I think you described why you thought that this would kind of be like really, really cool before we go to the Royal Rumble and start battling it out.
Well, one, it's going to show our biases going into the bracket and the tournament, so we can kind of check each other on trying to push for an album that we personally like, and maybe losing some of the cultural context and stuff, and the being objective about our picks. So we're going to share our personal top 10 favorite albums of the 21st century so far.
Okay.
See how much overlap we have with our finalists. And mine's actually kind of close to what we ended up with. So I'm curious to hear yours first, and then I'll share mine.
Okay.
And for the listeners, this is subjective, completely subjective, taking cultural context. This is just our personal favorite picks. So let's hear it. In no order, right?
This is no order. Okay. This is just, I spent, I think, 10 minutes thinking and writing these down. So Young Thug, Rich Homie Quan, Rich Gang, The Tour Part 1. 2, Kanye West, Yeezus. Strokes, Is This It? Future's Monster. Frank Ocean's Blonde, Rosalia's Motomami, Daft Punk's Discovery, Usher's Confessions, Fiona Apple's The Idler Wheel, and then the Arctic Monkeys, Whatever You Say I Am, That's What I'm Not.
Okay. Pretty diverse list.
I will say, writing the list, I'm just like, this is, like, these are all popular albums, but it is also very chaotic.
Yeah, you have a more diverse taste than I think probably people imagine. So let me share you mine. In no order, but there is a lot of overlap with the season. I also have a Fiona Apple pick on mine, but it's Fetch the Bolt Cutters. But talk about a flawless discography. Fiona Apple.
I love me some Fiona Apple.
Oof, yeah. Okay. I got 2 Radiohead picks on mine, of course. I have In Rainbows, which we didn't talk about this season, but Justice's Cross.
Was about to make my list. This is actually an album we bond over.
Yeah.
If we had more time to do this, I would have loved to do Daft Punk's Discovery first, Justice's Cross.
Yeah, just that album changed me in so many ways, came at a really pivotal time in my life. I love that album. Tyler, the Creator's Igor's on here for me. Lemonade's on here for me. Thanks to this season of Last Song Standing, Daft Punk's Discovery is now on my top 10 personal list, and it was not in there before. So thank you, Charles, for reminding me how good it is. Daft Punk may be the next season of Dissect. I don't know. I haven't talked to Justin about it, but I'm very excited about Daft Punk in this moment, and it's thanks to this season. I also have Kanye West, Yeezus.
Which is interesting because I think Justin was the first person who was just like, y'all are not doing Yeezus. Pick My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy.
Yeah.
Like, if this was just our season, we would have gone long on Yeezus.
Yeah.
Yeezus is my favorite Kanye record. I want to be clear. I think it's College Dropout or My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy for people. I think those are the two that like make the most sense for this exercise.
Yeah.
But Yeezus is the one for me.
Yeah. But this is what I was trying to be more objective. My top 3 I've talked about pretty openly throughout my history on Dissect, but it's Frank Ocean's Blonde, To Pimp a Butterfly, and Kid A. So Kid A didn't make it,
but in our hearts it did.
But it's right there. So Justice's Cross is maybe the one regret of the season. I would have loved to talk to you about that album.
I was like, if we had one more episode, I was hoping that you would try to sneak it in a cultural exchange.
Yeah.
That is actually like, even though it didn't make like my top 10, because I did also want to kind of just like pick some sort of like, Justice was in there. I had a Bad Bunny has become an artist that I really, really like.
Yeah.
So yeah, but I was just like, also, Charles, just don't get too complicated. But with all of that out of the way,
should continue this a little bit in terms of like some honorable mentions.
Yes.
So
to give people backstory though a little bit, what was so fun about this season was we came up with like a long list of albums that we could do. And then it was a very, very intentional process of being like, I think the perfect one we can use is like, how can we do this exercise and not talk about J. Cole? So I think for the first episode, we actually had two of our shortlist albums were 2014 Forest Hills Drive, and then Because the Internet by Childish Gambino. And that actually crystallized how difficult of a task this would be, because 2014 Forest Hills Drive, I don't think I know is one of the most popular albums of just the 21st century. But when we were doing like best song, worst song, deep cut, whatever, quickly we found that it fell apart and really couldn't compete.
Yeah. Yeah, I think there's different weight classes to an album like J. Cole and let's say
Carter 3 by Lil Wayne was there for a while. So it's an album that I love. That mixtape run, Wayne was my favorite rapper for so many years. Young Thug's Barter 6 is something that would make my personal list. But when you're going in terms of like cultural impact and this stuff, like over time, you can talk about the impact, but it was just like, yeah, can Barter 6 go up against, I don't know, Madvillainy? That was going to be more difficult.
Yeah. And so we'll just run through some of the ones so that they at least get a mention in this conversation. So we were thinking about Missy Elliott, which
Miss E, So Addictive, 50 Cent's Get Rich or Die Trying. Which Bon Iver album? Like there's like your favorite Bon Iver is not my favorite Bon Iver.
Yeah, I like 22 a Million, but for this discussion, I probably would have vouched for like Emma Forever Ago.
Yeah. Same. I think that's the one that makes the most sense. Outcast Stankonia got very close, but we just felt that the highs are high, the songs are great. If this was a best songs of the 21st century argument, Outcast would have definitely been in there. But I think their best work
was previous.
We had Tame Impala's Currents, Back to Black by Amy Winehouse, Anti by Rihanna kind of got close, but we also felt that it was a little bit, people are going to kill me for saying this. I love Rihanna. Traditionally speaking, I don't know if she's an album artist. She like the songs weigh heavily. Once again, if this was songs of the 21st century, Rihanna would be up there.
Yeah. Just look at our final list where we are definitely favoring album artists.
Yep. Donuts by Dilla, David Bowie's Black Star. We already mentioned Fiona Apple was on both of our personal. We had talked about her. Justice Cross, Money Store by Death Grips. This Is Happening by LCD Sound System. White Blood Cell, White Stripes. And at one point, you guys would be disgusted how far Charlie XCX got. And here's the thing.
Disgusted? We're talking Brat.
Let me finish by saying this. I love Brat. One of my favorite memories of moving to LA in the beginning was going to a Brat night and just being welcomed by a million women who look like Charlie XCX. It was literally like I died and went to heaven. But I was like, guys, 3 fucking dudes cannot be talking about Charlie XCX's Brat. They're gonna be like, you old ass motherfuckers.
Yeah, we'd have to discuss that album properly. We'd have to bring in every single one of Charles's recent Hinge dates.
All right, let's not talk about the shawties. Shout out all the shawties, but that was our short list.
Yeah,
the only one that like you guys are probably like, you guys didn't talk about her at all is. Neither of us really fuck with Taylor, I think, that much in terms of just like, I feel like it would be disrespectful.
No one wants to hear us talk about Taylor Swift.
That's the way to put it. Like, I don't know if y'all want my opinions. My opinion, like, I've gotten canceled how many times for some of the opinions I have on artists that I love. Can you imagine ones that I'm just like, fine.
All right, so we acknowledge the honorable mentions. I think, is it time to reveal
the bracket? Guys, we're bringing in the whiteboard. So yeah, we're going to reveal which albums are duking it out bracket style to get to the finale.
So let's take a quick break. We're going to come back with the actual physical bracket.
Yep.
All right.
All right, y'all, we are back. As you can see, we have revealed the bracket. Cole did an amazing job. All right, so we are going to be going My Beautiful Dark Twisted, Madvillainy first. Okay, then the second matchup of the day is going to be To Pimp a Butterfly versus Eminem's Marshall Mathers LP. Then we have Kid A versus Is This It? Last but not least, Lemonade versus A Seat at the Table. And if you guys are wondering, what about fucking Frank Ocean? Yes, he is at the top. He's automatically just in there.
I think it was the one overlap of our top favorite.
Yep.
So we have a Frank Ocean bias that I think would probably plummet most of the albums on the board. So we're like, we know Blonde's going to be there at the end. Let's just reserve it.
Let's reserve it. Mm-hmm.
And then let's see who's going against Blonde as maybe a slight favorite in the overall bracket. Are you ready to do this, Charles?
I am ready because I'm coming out the gate swinging.
Uh-oh.
At no point in my life did I think that this was going to be true. At no point. At one point, My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy blew my fucking wig off. Runaway is one of my favorite songs of all time. Like this album meant so much to me. Madvillainy's better.
Better? All
right, so let me, not by much.
Okay.
But
I'm actually not disagreeing per se, but that.
All right,
it is interesting that we are historically, that is something that you are saying right now, because I think at one point in time, Twisted Fantasy would be unassailably the favorite of this entire exercise.
I think there was a time where Blonde would have been battling it out, and My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy would be the one that we're actually like, who's going to? But I said something to you when we were getting lunch. If this year has proved anything to me, it's that one of the most important things, I don't think about all music, but hip hop, is you got to stand on your shit. And if there is one thing that we have learned, I think Kanye West is the most important artist of the 21st century so far. But if we've learned anything, like in the last couple years with him, with Drake, I'm starting to value standing on your raps and standing on your art and standing on what you believe in. And I think we have learned in a myriad of ways that Kanye West doesn't stand for anything at this point. And when I was a kid listening to a lot like Dark Fantasy into my mind's blanking the next song.
Gorgeous. Gorgeous.
Like the way he's rapping about the police and this and that on Gorgeous. At one point in my life, oh my God, Kanye's saying this. Oh, like, I can't believe it. Jesus. Oh, he's taking on these.
It's a little different now.
It doesn't hold the same weight for me. It just doesn't. And I think I hate that has to be the case. If I'm bugging you, tell me.
Well, I would like to push back more, but what you're saying in my heart, even though my mind tells me should be able to separate art from the artist, and maybe we're still historically too close to everything that's happened, all of Kanye, but in my heart, I feel what you're saying is true in this moment. 10, 15, 20 years from now, maybe that feeling is different. Maybe time allows us to create that separation. But in this moment, having this conversation, listening back to a Twisted Fantasy for this exercise, because I'm not listening to Kanye really much at all these days, and the album just not hitting me the same way that it used to. Just, I can't change that as much as I want to. And it's hard to it's hard to stump for an album that I know is historically significant and by all accounts a masterpiece. But I think if we're having a conversation about the 21st century and what album is going to define it so far, I just don't think it can be at this point in time when we're recording this. I don't think it can be a Kanye West album.
Well, I also think it goes deeper, because with My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, what I've been thinking a lot about is Kanye with a college dropout is labeled a conscious rapper. And for years, so many of his biggest songs, there's a lesson in there. It's like he was before Kendrick, like he was very, very good at distilling themes about consumerism and beauty and race and this and that into these packages, right? And with everything that's happened, when I listen to My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, what it reminds me of is I'm like, oh, the best thing that Kanye West ever was a curator of production and samples and rapping and of sound. And even if he wasn't the best lyricist, because he had a lot of help writing, he always knew how to cherry pick, make the collage, make the scrapbook, and then offer it up to the public in the most easily consumed package. And I'm going to say that to get why it's not just the fact that everything that's happened with Kanye is the reason I'm not picking it. It's everything that's happened with Doom, where I think as a culture, when I listened to when we were doing this exercise and I was listening to Madvillainy, I'm like, all right, well, this is just as kaleidoscopic, and they're pulling from as much history, and the sampling is just as good as what Kanye's doing, and the production is just as good. The rapping is better. Doom is a better rapper. And I think this is also an age thing. I think I prefer listening to a record like Madvillainy in 2025 over, like, I'm just saying in a vacuum.
Yeah.
what I like as a 32-year-old man is a Madvillainy.
At this point in history, at this point in my life, that's true for me too. And I think if we're trying to honor hip hop specifically, and I think doom is very important, obviously, to a certain subculture of hip hop. The influence of we kind of talked about the influence of Madvillainy. I mean, we did, but it's like, we should probably reinforce just the way it shaped so many rappers after him and continues to shape so many. It influenced song structure and approaches to beat making. Of course, you could kind of say the same thing about Kanye, but at this moment in time, I like the idea of honoring doom in this conversation. So I
think that people will be like, you're just saying that because we've canceled God. And I'm just like, no. Like, I actually would rather listen to Madvillainy just as even when we did that episode and you're breaking down, did you know, I was like, this is why I love that album. You know what I mean? Where it's like the greatest artist and their music grow with you.
Yeah.
As you age. And I think what Madvillainy, Food, Operation Doomsday, I'm still learning new things about those albums and how great they are, especially on the production side and the lyrical side.
Yeah.
In a way where I don't even know on the best day if I'm learning that much from My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy.
Justin, is this totally out of left field? Is this wild take that we're not pushing back so much on this?
I think that you're accurately capturing how the vibes have shifted around this.
Yeah.
I think this 10 years ago, 5 years ago, My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy might have stormed through this entire exercise and been the album. But it's not because of anything he said. It's not because of his really, truly terrible beliefs. It's not because of that. It's just, there's just something there. The luster of that album and Kanye, the whole Kanye experience has really worn off. And it'd be great if we could judge everything in a vacuum, but we're not judging everything in a vacuum. We're judging how we feel about it today, a quarter century in.
Yeah. Yeah. And I
don't have a problem with this.
I wish for the day that we're able to revere the albums of Kanye West like we once did. I'm still hoping that he's somehow going to redeem himself, and I'm wishing the best for him. I hope he heals and gets well. But at this point in time, let's call it
It's Madvillainy, and I don't feel bad at all.
It's also about Madvillainy. Maybe we're not stressing that enough. It is a fucking masterpiece.
A great album. So Madvillainy wins.
Okay.
All right. So next up, To Pimp a Butterfly versus Marshall Mathers LP. I feel so bad for Eminem. It's not even close.
It's not even close.
We don't need to waste people's time. I actually, no. Don't get me wrong. Eminem is one of the best rappers who has ever walked the earth. And this is someone who has a complicated relationship with Eminem. And I stumped for that album because I believe that it is good. I love Eminem. But the Marshall Mathers LP isn't, what it's trying to do is not as ambitious as To Pimp a Butterfly, and ambition doesn't always mean that it's the better album. But in terms of where we're at in the 21st century, this was never a fucking conversation.
I 100% agree. We honor Eminem. He's a giant. He is hip hop to his core. But To Pimp a Butterfly you can have a conversation about the 21st century, a more dynamic conversation about the 21st century through that album, through the prism of To Pimp a Butterfly, where when you start to talk about Marshall Mathers LP and Eminem, I think obviously he's done a lot for hip hop. It's a cultural moment in its own right, but there's something about To Pimp a Butterfly that transcends music in a way that I don't think Eminem has ever done in his career. And I think when you're just looking at these two albums together, it feels like no contest. But Justin, are we wrong to just breeze through this? Should we fight more for Marshall Mathers?
I think some people might even question why Eminem made it into the bracket. I think he put up a really strong showing by getting this far.
Yeah.
Beating Tyler, also one of the most important artists of the century, also someone that you can track a lot of the shifts in culture through.
Yeah.
Really impressive for the big guy. But this is where it ends
the
for
silly
him.
little guy.
This is where honestly, I'm glad he made it this far. I actually, listening to the album, just like, we can't be prisoners of the moment. I think a lot of times we get into this thing where it's like when an artist is no longer cool, we act like they were never transformational, they were never groundbreaking, and I hate that. And that's why I kind of was being like, no. Eminem throughout the 2000s was the guy. That's why I made it that far, but we don't have to belabor it. It's To Pimp a Butterfly. Next up, Easy, The Strokes, Is This It? Like, we don't even need to talk about it.
Against what?
No. I'm saying, Is This It wins. We don't even need to bring up Kid A.
This is amazing.
I know.
This is amazing.
Here's the thing. I get it. There's no way Is This It is going to
I don't think you get it.
Yeah, you don't get it, Charles.
The powers that
literally
Charles,
do
you
not
don't get it.
You
What?
don't get it.
Take a look again at the board, Charles.
Take a look at the matchup that we're discussing.
Wait, it's Kid A versus The Strokes. Wait, whoa. All right. Where's Discovery?
Right behind it. Charles.
Wait until I sit. Whose idea was that?
Of course.
Whose idea? Like, I was like,
Justin helped me though.
Look, what? I helped you conspire against him on the Clips episode. I owed him one.
You want to know why it wasn't registering to me? Because I still don't believe that Discovery movie. Like, I literally was just like, there's no way I'm going to win with this. Oh, like, I hate you. I was literally like, fuck. Oh, my God. I like Kid A.
Okay.
Anyway.
So the Strokes beat Kid A.
But the Strokes beat Daft Punk. You're going to have to argue against yourself because I can't go at bat for Strokes. It's a fucking easy call for me. Daft Punk washes. But try to put up a fight for Strokes, but...
I listen to Is This It more. This is one of my favorite rock albums ever. It means so much to me. Last Night, Someday.
Great songs.
Take It or Leave It. It's just...
Harder, Better, Faster, Stronger, Digital Love, Face to Face, One More Time. What are we talking about, Charles? Easy.
I'm thinking, guys. All right. I've listened to Aerodynamic before. I've listened to Digital Love before. I've listened to all. It's an easy. It's Discovery. Like, it was never a matchup.
Yeah.
But these are like my two kids, my two bad bitches against each other. Why are we pitting two bad bitches against each other?
Well, what's interesting though, it's like one's the future and one is the last flame of a genre that had a great run.
That is the perfect way to put it. Actually. That is as someone who worked at a rock magazine that will go unnamed, it is very funny where I'm just like, no. You can literally track in real time when rock, it was just like, it's a rap.
It's a rap. We honored the heyday of rap in the early 21st century. Strokes, Killers. We mentioned briefly White Stripes.
Yep.
Yeahs. I mean, it had a last moment, but I think it was the end of something that had a beautiful run. Maybe it'll make a return someday. I'm not sure, but
no, it's not happening. It's in the dirt. Discovery won. All right.
Okay. Lemonade versus Solange.
All right, the street's gonna be mad at me for saying this. The street's gonna be mad. This is easy. Solange needs to advance.
You know what's funny about this? Okay, in a vacuum, that's not a bad take. It's not.
I think A Seat at the Table is the better album, but not the more important album.
This is the difficult part. You know what I was thinking, and it's only because they're sisters, and I know that, so it's unfair. But can you imagine if Beyonce made A Seat at the Table? How revered A Seat at the Table would be? Can you imagine?
No.
Because in my heart, it feels like A Seat at the Table is the better. If you're just song for song, it feels like the better album to me. But Lemonade, if we're in a cultural conversation about the 21st century, it's a monolith. Lemonade is to me. And we're talking about, wrapped up in this conversation is who's the more important artists. Maybe you can argue about their best album, but obviously Beyonce is.
So I will make this argument for why we should pick Solange. If we're just talking about these two records, I actually think more artists have been inspired, have taken more from A Seat at the Table. I think A Seat at the Table, I actually don't think Beyonce could make A Seat at the Table. And that's not because she's not talented enough to make it. I think because of what Beyonce means to the culture, and I think I briefly touched upon this maybe in the SZA episode, her episode, because what she has to do, sometimes she can't be as raw. She can't be as vulnerable. And people are like, what are you talking about? Lemonade is a very vulnerable album. I'm like, yeah, it's vulnerable, but it's not Mr. Morale, because it's just like she has to almost be like a political figure in the American imagination, because she's Beyonce. She's the only Black woman who has gotten to that point in our culture. But if this was Renaissance against A Seat at the Table, I'd pick Renaissance.
But culturally though.
Culturally, I am telling you, in the streets, I think it's A Seat at the Table. I really, really do. I understand Lemonade might win, but I think A Seat at the Table is not only the better album, I think A Seat at the Table has pushed R&B farther, and there are more artists that I could be like, you're re-microwaving A Seat at the Table, and they're not doing that with Lemonade.
It's an interesting conversation. Do you want to weigh in at all, Justin, about this? Because I do think it's closer than maybe.
People are probably acting like I'm crazy for.
I don't think it. Well, if that is the case, then go back and listen to The Seat at the Table, because it's fucking phenomenal.
It's a really good album, and I didn't even want to listen to it for the second. I was like, and listening back to it, I was like, oh no, I actually forgot not only how potent it was, but just unassailable, and just kind of like, I'm like, oh, this influenced a lot of people.
I am, quite frankly, sick of being called in to settle Beyonce debates. This is not something I signed up for.
Well, no, you're not going to set. You're not settling it. Just add your 2 cents.
This is not how I wanted to spend my white boy summer. With this, I don't know if I have the right answer, and it kind of is hypocritical compared to some other arguments that I have made. In my heart, I vastly prefer the Solange album. Now, we are deciding on quality. We are deciding on what we believe to be the better album, but on some level, we're trying to define the century. Yep. And I think that Lemonade kind of stands as one of those, I've used this word a couple of times, one of those like monolithic type albums in the century, where Seat at the Table feels a little smaller in the grand scheme. But I don't think it's small enough that it should automatically be discounted for that reason.
Okay, let's bring this aspect into the conversation, though, because it is going to probably come up more as the matchups get harder. How much are we weighing our ultimate selection on it is from an artist that could define the 21st century? If we're forced to choose what artist has defined the 21st century so far, do we need to, how much are we honoring that aspect of the conversation versus albums in a vacuum? Because I will concede, I love Lemonade. I love the Lemonade film. In a vacuum, I might prefer Solange.
I think we are all circling the same thing, where it's like, critically, for what we love about music, A Seat at the Table. And it's like, once again, we're talking about like the difference between like a 98 and a 99. It's not, it's very close. But also, it's probably just has to be Beyonce's Lemonade. It feels wrong not to advance Beyonce just based off the fact of just like, when you name the list of the top 5 most important artists of the 21st century so far, you can't tell the story without Beyonce. You can't tell it without Lemonade. Even if I like Renaissance better, even if I like 4 better, even if I like Self-Titled better, Lemonade is the moment that Beyonce transcends just music and just becomes like a capital A icon that we will be talking about for the rest of our lives. Lemonade helped do that for her. it has to be Lemonade. And Lemonade, guys, Lemonade is not bad. I just really want to.
No, yeah, we needed to give her a flower because God, it's such a great album. Okay, but let's not belabor. Lemonade advances. So let's take just a quick break. You won't even know where we're going because we're going to update the brackets.
Yep.
And we'll come back with the final 5 matchups.
All right. So, guys, we are back. Now we have to discuss Madvillainy versus To Pimp a Butterfly and Daft Punk's Discovery versus Beyonce's Lemonade. This is actually where, once again, I'm going to surprise you. Madvillainy a better album than To Pimp a Butterfly. It is. It is. I'm sorry. It is. To me.
I love Madvillainy so much. So I'm like, I get it. We're talking about To Pimp a Butterfly here, though. One of the most culturally important and significant albums of the 21st century. Mm-hmm. Arguably, or not inarguably, one of the best concept records of all time. Perhaps the best of the 21st century. I would stand on that. The best concept record of the 21st century so far. It accomplishes everything you can in a single album in terms of commercial success, in terms of artistic merit, in terms of defining a moment in culture and a moment in American history. It accomplishes all that, and yet it's still a great album that is self-contained, that isn't trying too hard, that is very personal story about someone that comes from a place like Compton that is underrepresented. And I think when you're weighing the totality of what To Pimp a Butterfly is versus Madvillainy, an album that is one of my favorite albums of all time, it's just hard to compete with all of that.
All that is true, and fuck that shit. Madvillainy's that one. Like, Doom's the rapper, everything. Like, here's the thing. Is Madvillainy gonna win against The Pimp a Butterfly? No, it's not. But I would not be a good podcaster. I would not be a good rap fan if I just did keep it 100% real. If y'all hate me for saying this, like, objectively speaking, to me, Madvillainy is the better rap. Like, is the better rap record. It just is. I prefer it. I like Doom's rapping more. I think it's just as complicated. I think it's just as virtuosic. I would rather listen. Like, I'll put it to you this way. Which instrumental album would you rather listen to? I would rather listen to Madvillainy. I think the production overall, it's
a good point. That's a great point.
I think production wise, like what To Pimp a Butterfly is doing is just as difficult and just as virtuosic and just as everything. Like, it's not, I'm not saying that, but you would miss a lot of the record the minute you take Kendrick out. And same thing with Madvillainy, but like Madvillainy also, they released the instrumentals for a reason. Like, it is. Yeah,
that's a very good point. Something that we don't talk about a lot with Kendrick is that the production of his songs are great. So don't take this the wrong way, what I'm about to say, but Kendrick makes a lot of the songs what they are. It's not the production that makes most of Kendrick's songs. It's not, we're never talking about how great the production on a Kendrick Lamar album is, because for one, he overshadows with his performances, with his concepts, with his themes. And I think you can give any beat off of Madvillainy to any other rapper, and it's probably going to be a pretty decent song. I don't think you could say the same thing for Kendrick's production. Kendrick's just that good. He knows exactly what to do to make a song great, to elevate the production, to feed into the production, all of that said. So I think that's a beautiful point.
And just before not only do I agree with you, I think the thing that I've located about Kendrick is that because not only he's such a good rapper, but because he knows what he wants the concept to be, because these albums have to do even something like GNX, where there's not as much of a through line.
The production shines more.
Still, he is outshining the production because he's Kendrick Lamar. And I think someone like Doom is the type of rapper where he's not afraid to not be the flashiest part of the song, or he's not afraid to kind of like bleed into it, But in the same way that Good Kid, Mad City didn't advance, because I'm like, if this was a best rap albums of the 21st century conversation, I think I could make a very, very compelling point that Madvillainy is a better rap album than To Pimp a Butterfly.
I actually would not argue that.
But in terms of project, I'm not going to belabor this. Like, To Pimp a Butterfly, To Pimp a Butterfly to me can go against a Blonde. It could go against a Lemonade. It can go against a Discovery. I don't know if Madvillainy can, because it just exists in a different pocket.
Yeah. Beautiful. Okay. I'm good with that. Justin, is that fair?
I'm just over here thinking, would Kendrick over Meat Grinder Beat sound better than Doom over How Much a Dollar Cost? Those are the two things I'm thinking of in my head.
Would Kendrick sound better over Meat Grinder? No.
I'm gonna be honest. You could put Doom over most of To Pimp a Butterfly, and I think he would kill it. I think if Kendrick tried to rap over a lot of the beats on Madvillainy, it would sound terrible. And that's nothing against Kendrick. That is nothing against him. I think Madlib could actually make a very, very good Kendrick Lamar project. But I don't know if Kendrick, like,
yeah, it's interesting.
What does Kendrick sound like over Accordion? What does he sound like over Raid?
Or, I mean, we've kind of got it. The closest taste we have is No Parties in LA, the Kanye feature, right? And I like that verse, but people
in this room don't like that verse.
I know. I think Kendrick easily out-rapped Kanye. Kanye sounds like he's struggling to have air in his lungs the whole time. He sounds out of shape. Anyways, let's not get sidetracked.
Anyways, that's the right call. I just wanted to do that thought exercise because you guys are bringing it up, but that's the right call.
Look at these. Look how iconic. I'm just like basking in how iconic both of those album covers are together, side by side.
Yeah, that's also the thing where I was just like, if I'm being real, I think the Madvillainy cover might be the best cover on this board. On these are all iconic, but I'm like, my eye keeps going back to that cover, and I'm just like,
good. It is so good. Yeah,
I think Solange is the second best.
I think so too. I really like that cover. It's beautiful.
But also, let me say, I know you guys don't watch a lot of basketball, because this bracket, I'm fine with how we did it, but you're supposed to be going up and down. Madvillainy should have been going against Daft Punk.
Oh,
sorry to all the basketball heads out there. You see that, CT? CT over here sees it too.
We'll get to
it's all good because they all have to go against each other in some way.
Yeah.
Just saying. Jimmer would not be that proud, Cole.
Okay, so are we ready to move on to Daft Punk versus Lemonade? A very interesting pairing.
It's Daft Punk easily. It's Daft Punk easily.
Easily? Why?
The sheer amount of hits that have persisted. A lot of when we talk about Lemonade, a lot of what we're talking about is our feelings about Lemonade, our feelings about the moment, our pride that Beyonce finally shut up all the naysayers, that she wrestled back music history into her corner, all of the things that is why I adore Beyonce as an artist. But if we are talking about projects that define the 21st century, how it sounds, how it moves, how it feels when you are in a disco club in fucking France or you are shopping in middle of America, Daft Punk tells that story. Daft Punk tells that story far before Kanye samples Stronger. They helped tell that story, whether it was through how they were fusing rock and electric and anime and all of these things, what they were able to achieve. And I think a lot of people would be like, but Beyonce, and I was just like, yeah, but let's talk, like, if we're just strictly talking like the music, not like the videos, not like the anything. If you just like, if we put both albums on back to back, which one are you just like, oh my gosh, I can't even imagine my life without Digital Love or Face to Face or Eddie These Records. It's just like, it's an easy matchup for me.
Musically, I love Beyonce. You know I love Lemonade.
We both love Beyonce.
Musically, and I'm going to put on my academic. I've got education in music.
Yep.
Daft Punk washes Lemonade. Daft Punk washes musically probably every album on this entire thing. Like we're just talking about technical accomplishment, marrying pop sensibilities with virtuosic electronic instrumentation and arrangement, which is what essentially all these albums at their heart, aside from the Strokes, are electronic music, you know, at the core. Yeah. For stripping it down, these are not, well, maybe Solange is an exception here too, but you know what I'm saying? Like we're sample-based music, drum machines, all this stuff. If we're just in a vacuum talking musically, I think Daft Punk kind of just fucking terrorizes it.
They sample the best. Because here's the thing, we've been using I've been using words, especially like scrapbooks, collage, like taking the history of music, recontextualizing it. That happens on My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, on Madvillainy, on Blonde, on Lemonade, on To Pimp a Butterfly, like all of it. And to our point, Daft Punk does it the best. Like even when you listen to it, you're just like, oh, these guys were ahead of their time even back then. It's
kind of I'm looking at this board and I'm like, is it like they're kind of like Madvillain meets Twisted Fantasy almost, in terms of like they're able to synthesize all of that into one package that is it feels just as epic as a Twisted Fantasy, just as tasteful as a Madvillainy. And am I arguing for Daft Punk over Lemonade? This is crazy, because coming into this season, I was skeptical about Discovery, and now it's like one of my favorite albums of all time. because of this exercise. For this process,
it has to move on. It has to move on.
It's and your point about it's like the top branch at the tree of musical influence of the 21st century, I think, in terms of like what a lot of, even if we condense it to pop, what's happening in pop music and what people are still trying to accomplish with electronics and making that palatable. Like Daft Punk is at the origin point of that sound.
Like we specifically make fun of Charlie XCX in like Brat Summer, but like that's indebted to something like to a group like Daft Punk.
Right.
Like one of the biggest artists last year, Charlie XCX, like she's coming off that branch that they help build. And
you even see, I mean, I'll bring Taylor Swift into the conversation. An album like Reputation doesn't happen, I don't think, definitely not in the same way without a Daft Punk laying the foundation for pop electronic based music.
And people are like, here's the thing. People probably think we picked the wrong Daft Punk album. Most people are probably like, why don't you pick Random Access Memories? So that even shows you just how potent their discography is, where most people will be like, damn, that's not even y'all are like, that's how good of a group. And I want to honor that, because I do also think that Daft Punk gets a little underrated because you're like, the helmets, it's kitschy, there's the anime influence, there's this, there's that. They don't do a lot of interviews anymore, and they kind of get lost in the shuffle. And I'm like, still, even without the love, because here's the thing, I got love, like it's breaking my heart. A black woman should win this whole thing. It's breaking my heart. I love Beyonce. Still, she not the robots. She not.
I mean, I'm okay with this only because I think Beyonce rightfully is already seen as a monolith. And I think advancing Daft Punk symbolically, as torturous as it is, you guys know I love Lemonade. I did an entire season with TT on it. Go check it out. But I like honoring, in the same way that I was pretty much okay with eventually Daft Punk winning over Kid A. Symbolically, I like them to get to the final three, because I think it says a lot about rewarding them. They're kind of the underdogs here. They feel like the least represented. So I feel like I'm okay with it.
I will just say, they were the darkest of dark horses. If you would have told me when we were making this season,
I like it. I like it.
This far,
I like it.
I'd be like, what? What?
Justin, are we gonna get killed for this take, Justin?
No.
All right.
I don't. Okay. I really don't think you will. Okay. I think that this is totally acceptable.
And if it feels crazy, just do what I did. Return to Discovery, and it'll win you over, because I've been won over. It is now one of my favorite albums of all time.
The 21st century looks a lot more like Discovery than it does Lemonade. Lemonade is a record that defines Beyonce, where Discovery feels like a record that defines the century so far.
Very beautifully said. I think that's
well
right.
said.
Okay.
All right, so our 3 finalists: Frank Ocean's Blonde, Kendrick Lamar's Pimp a Butterfly, Daft Punk's Discovery. We're gonna have a little bit of a break. When we're back, we're gonna get right into.
We're gonna name
literally
the last album standing.
Let's go. All right, y'all, we are back. This is everything that this season our friendship has been leading towards. 3 albums left on the board: Frank Ocean's Blonde, Kendrick's Pimp a Butterfly, Daft Punk's Discovery. And where I want to start the conversation is, I think, one of the most beautiful things that has happened every season of Last Song Standing is I've noticed that you've gotten me to appreciate music that sometimes I've been very dismissive of. And the way I listen to music has changed. My love for it, after like being in the trenches as a journalist and just getting disillusioned, has come back full force. But also over the course of the season, sharing albums, like seeing how much you love Daft Punk now. And like that has been like just so great to see. So through the course of the season, has there been any moments where you're just like, oh fuck, like I didn't think I would rate this album so high on a re-listen?
Well, it's definitely I would not have ever guessed Daft Punk would be top 3, but I feel fucking fantastic about it. So that's the biggest takeaway is Daft Punk for me. But I will say, to your point about listening to music differently, what I, not only this season, all seasons, and I mentioned this pre-pod, but I think you know me, I tend to gravitate towards music that is ambitious, that is thematic, that has concepts, that has Easter eggs, that is very explicit in its messaging thematically, where I think you have done a really great job at selling the importance of implicit music being important. Something that's not, it might not feel thematic on its face, but it's just as important as a more explicit thematic album, a la your conversations about Future and his importance to the history of hip hop, or a Young Thug, or people that I don't typically talk a lot about. And I've definitely learned to appreciate that side of specifically hip hop a lot more through your personal taste and the way you talk about music. So it's probably the favorite part about doing the show with you is just, this is why we paired each other as a mismatch, where it's like, we both love music. We share a lot of overlap in our tastes, but we listen differently. And I love the fact that we are able to help each other become better listeners through.
I could not agree more. Like, I say this all the time after every single season, like, you reinvigorate my love for music every single time we do this exercise. And I think with that, one question we really do have to ask, because a lot of people might be seeing in the board and be like, yo, how's Daft Punk going to go against To Pimp a Butterfly and Blonde? And the thing that I'm wrestling with at this point is, can an album that is dance and electronic forward, where what it is trying to do is different than a Blonde or To Pimp a Butterfly, where to me, there's we discussed it on Discovery. There's a narrative core to that album in terms of like Daft Punk wanting to honor the nostalgia of the music, the TV, the experiences that they had when they were young French kids. But the music is serving a purpose that is hard to compete with Blonde and To Pimp a Butterfly, where it's supposed to get you moving. It's supposed to get you, you feel the groove. You're supposed to be dancing to it. And that's something I love. I love dance music. And I think that influentially, like the influence of like Discovery in just the texture of the 21st century is unimpeachable. But it's really, really difficult to go against Blonde and To Pimp a Butterfly, because they're doing the next thing, where because of their lyrical density and their subject matter, it's doing something that Daft Punk was never really trying to do. But that,
it puts them at a disadvantage, I think, in the conversation. As much as we praised Discovery in terms of its influence, I don't think specifically Blonde necessarily sounds exactly how it does without a Discovery laying foundations that kind of work its way everywhere and permeate its tentacles in every sector of music, including hip hop, R&B, pop, rock. I mean, it's just, it's everywhere. And what I love about now just realizing we are representing electronic music, hip hop, and air quotes R&B, and I think we have a good survey as much as you can through 3 albums of the 21st century and the story of it. So I'm glad actually we landed right here. I think the only thing missing is rock, but as we already touched on earlier, rock kind of fizzled out by the 2010s.
Yeah.
And so
then when we talk about Blonde versus To Pimp a Butterfly.
Well, we haven't really talked about Blonde yet in this episode, which maybe we should start there because, well, one, why did it even get an automatic advance to the finale, the final bracket in your mind? What about Blonde is just, it's just automatically in the conversation as the best?
I know I get on my soapbox about in moments like this, so I apologize. I don't get to be very effusive very often. I think R&B is one of the most disrespected musical genres in America, and I've been in music history, and I think I've been very explicit in past episodes. So when if you would have told me as a kid, when I was listening to Hot 97, Kiss FM, all of these things, that one of the most important albums that everyone recognized, white, black, straight, bi, trans, whatever, would be made by a black queer man that is coming from an R&B tradition, I never would have thought it.
Yeah.
Like to know that we have so much farther to go, but to think that we would get this far, to think Frank would get there, honoring and pushing forward something that is like, these are the first sounds that I'm hearing as a kid, Stevie Wonder and Tony Braxton and Michael Jackson and Barry Manilow, like just on and on, Marvin Gaye. But there was something, especially at My Life, and I think so many people share this about Frank Ocean's Blonde. I think he located something, not only about the human experience, about the black experience, how I think the really insidious thing about racism is that you're fighting so much just for your ability to live that you rarely think about what it means to thrive, what it means to be your full self, what it means to show that duality in your sexuality, in your gender. And that is such a difficult thing to just explain to someone in a conversation.
Yeah.
And then to do it on an album, and then for that album not just to be good, not just to be great, but to be transformative.
Yeah.
Is just like, it's the reason I do, like, it's the reason I wake up in the morning. I saw this tweet recently where people listen to music every day, and I laughed. I'm like, yo, if you measured the amount of music I just consume in a day, when I'm washing dishes, when I'm at the gym, when I'm in my car, when I'm just writing, when everything, it's unimaginable. And it's because of albums like Blonde. This has gotten me through the darkest times of my life. It's just, sorry I went so long. Like, it's like, it has to be in this conversation.
Yeah, no, that's really eloquently stated. I think I'll add to it the musicality of the album being something that we're putting air quotes around R&B, because Blonde to me it's of an R&B tradition. Maybe that's the best tracking of it, but it's not, to me, it's not an R&B album. I don't know where I would classify it as. And I think that's what I love about it, is like, it is so effortlessly genre defying that it reflects the themes that you're talking about in terms of like not being able to put anyone in a box, be it musically, be it gender, sexuality. There's a synthesis of influence that he's able to do. And then you think about individual songs like A White Ferrari or A Nights. And we talked a lot about how does Frank go from point A and then all of a sudden 2 minutes later you're an entire another sonic universe, yet it never feels forced. It never feels out of place. Everything serves either a musical or thematic purpose. And I think when we listen to an album like Daft Punk, it kind of wows you. It's more of a spectacle of music production, where it's like we broke down face by face or face to face. We broke down the sample flip in One More Time, and it feels more impressive in that way. But I think Blonde is just as musically deft as a Daft Punk, and as a probably superior, I would say, in terms of To Pimp a Butterfly. It doesn't wow you with it, but like we think about the moment in Self-Control, and those one of my favorite moments of the 21st century, of those strings and the I kind of anthem at the end, or you think about the White Ferrari parts that we isolated, or the beat switch and night. These are production musical masterpieces, masterworks moments of singular moments of it takes to create a moment in music like that. It's not just the moment, it's everything that comes before, it's everything that comes after it. And it's like, Frank is a virtuosic producer. Maybe he's not playing everything, but it's like in the same vein as a Kanye, he's curating everything. He's the puppeteer above it all. And he's assembling things in a way that has been unmatched. I can't even think of an album that compares with Blonde on a production. Like what sounds like Blonde, yet you could hear the influence, but it's like every great album where it's often imitated but never, duplicated. I don't think anyone has really come close in the lane that Frank is occupying in matching it. It's the same conversation with Daft Punk. How many people, Justice, or how many people after Daft Punk tried to reach the heights musically of a Daft Punk and just can't get there. And I think we could say the same thing for Blonde, but I don't think people talk about that aspect of Blonde enough. But we can also say the same thing with To Pimp a Butterfly conceptually. I think if we're weighing which what each of these albums brings to the table, I think To Pimp a Butterfly to me brings, we already touched on it, but it brings the highest execution of a concept record in music history, one of them. It is able to effortlessly encapsulate a moment in time explicitly, but he was successful at it. And I think you can have a conversation. You could probably have the most explicit conversation about the 21st century through To Pimp a Butterfly. Whether I think that's enough to make it the ultimate winner, I don't know. But I think that's over the other two albums. I think that's what it has in its favor if we're trying to start to whittle this thing down.
Yeah, I think when I look at To Pimp a Butterfly, to your point, it does the best job of, if you are an alien coming down to Earth, I'm not talking about necessarily all of the feelings of the 21st century, but if you are trying to locate how we got here to this moment where a Black kid from Compton makes good on the American dream and then travels and then realizes that he is connected to a history of pain and suffering, and that Uncle Sam and Lucy and all of these forces are not just keeping him, but his people subjugated. That like when we wake up in 2025 and we're just like, fuck, like we are living in a fucking totalitarian state, all of this shit, you go back to Butterfly and it's all you can, to your point, it is a chapter of a history book. That's what makes this album so great.
Yeah.
And I think what Blonde does is that it encapsulates if To Pimp a Butterfly is encapsulating the story and the text of the 21st century, Blonde to me is encapsulating the feeling. And that to me is what music is best at doing, where there is something primal and caveman like about drums and rhythm and when someone sings, and the feeling of just wanting to, like, what I love, like, new babies when they're hearing music, because you're just like, they don't understand what this is, but there is something just in the human condition that they just start moving and they just start grooving. And a baby, like, a lot of people tell you, like, babies are the purest listeners of music because they have not been infected by everything. They just like, it is just how this makes them feel. And to me, Blonde is that type of record. Blonde is like, how does it feel to be in the 21st century at a time where I think it's interesting when I think about Blonde versus To Pimp a Butterfly, where to me, Blonde does this great job of trying to be like, all right, what does it mean to be human in the 2000s, the 2010s, and then the 2020s? What does sexuality mean? What does gender mean? What does it like? How does that feel? How is our memories being erased? Like, I know I made so much fun about Facebook story, but how are our memories and the way that we love people getting ruined by technology? All of that is in Blonde. But then again, for To Pimp a Butterfly, I think with that record, Kendrick Lamar was actually saying something very, very deep of like, yo, if you think that this can just happen to me, to Black people, y'all are fucking kidding yourselves. If you think the infection of the American experiment is just going to come attack us, you're wilding. And if anybody's woken up today, that is very, very true. If they could take away your rights, they could take away anyone's rights. And I'm like, when you think it's To Pimp a Butterfly, you're like, shit.
It's all in there.
It was all like,
yeah.
And that's the thing. What do you reward?
Yeah, it's hard. Because I think for me, Blonde feels like the more universally timeless album in terms of like, Frank is so good at capturing, we talked about it on the episode, but like, you know, we think of a song like Pink and White where he's reflecting on his childhood, thinking about things maybe not going the way he wanted or circumstances outside of your control, but finding the beauty in it. Not only philosophically through the lyrics, but also you just get the feeling of that beauty in the song itself. And I think when you think about love and loss and heartbreak and all the things he's able to capture and the feeling of a white Ferrari and everyone having that experience of the last conversation with someone that you've loved and knowing that they're out after this conversation, after this car ride, they're out of your life forever. That's a universal, that's just something we all experience at some point in our life. And so I think what Blonde has going for it is it has all the kind of historical things that you're talking about, but there's another layer on top of or under that is it does, I don't know, it does capture like the beauty of life. And I know it's a cliche to say, but he's for some reason he's able to, I mean, it's all about nostalgia and recoloring your memories, you know? And I think the beauty of Blonde, where obviously To Pimp a Butterfly is a beautiful album, but Blonde makes you feel the beauty in your blood. Yeah. Where it's like you take away, you end up, you know, at the end of To Pimp a Butterfly, it's a very sobering record, right? Once you hear Tupac disappearing and Kendrick calling out for him and Tupac disappearing, symbolically, what is that saying? You know, Tupac died when he was 25. Yeah. And there's a history behind why that happens. And so when it's like we're on two sides of the same coin here, where Blonde is giving you the important feeling of what keeps us going in terms of the beauty of life, where Kendrick is forcing us to feel some of the tragic elements of life as well. So it's,
if we were having the conversation, the most important artist of the 21st century.
Should we just, I think we're circling around Blonde To Pimp a Butterfly. Do we?
Daft Punk to me is out.
Okay. I love you, Daft Punk.
I love you, Daft Punk. But to me, that's hard.
Okay. Let me formally remove it from the board.
That was rough. What I will say as we try to make this decision, if we were arguing the most important artist of the 21st century, I think Kendrick Lamar would have a great, almost unimpeachable case, where we see what's happened to Kanye. We've seen what's happened to Drake. I think he has become more important than Beyonce, just because I think Beyonce has kind of the problem that I think Jay-Z does, where a lot of their best music comes in the 90s, or at least in the early 2000s. So there's kind of like a break point. So I think Kendrick Lamar is a more important artist of the 21st century probably than a Frank Ocean. But I think I'm leaning towards Frank Ocean's Blonde is the more important, better album that encapsulate the 21st century. Because as we always say, the cliche thing we're saying is, which one would you hand to an alien? And before I hand an alien a text on everything that's kind of gone wrong in the 20th and 21st century, I would want to hand them an album that shows them the beauty, the heartbreak, the pain, and then the resolve of the human condition. And I think Blonde does that a little bit better than To Pimp a Butterfly.
I agree with the sentiment. I would say if I'm trying to make a case for To Pimp a Butterfly, I do think what you said is true. Kendrick Lamar, to me, I'm not sure I'm ready to put him over Beyonce, but it's, I think it's kind of a neck and neck race between the two. And of course, I'm going to prefer Kendrick. I think the discography is what Frank is lacking is just is music. He only have 2 albums and a mixtape from him. And I think this part of the conversation would be much different if he was more consistent with his releases in terms of like Frank being looked at as a Kendrick, where I think there was a trajectory at one point in time where he could have been up there in this conversation. He's just not outside enough. He's not performing live. He's not releasing albums, and that's totally fine if that's what he wants to do. But I do think Kendrick, if we're just taking the artist Frank Ocean versus Kendrick Lamar, we have to think about everything that happened this last year with Kendrick. If we're talking about hip hop as the most important genre of the 21st century, I think what he has done in terms of keeping the essence of hip hop alive, and I wouldn't say gatekeeping it, but I mean, I think the large part of the battle with Drake this last year was this symbolic fight between the future of hip hop and where it's going. And I think Kendrick took the reins of hip hop, and I think it's set it on a new trajectory where I think it was trending in the wrong direction, in my opinion, for a while. And so I think Kendrick Lamar's importance to the most important genre of the century is something that we should acknowledge. And I think all of that is encapsulated in a work like To Pimp a Butterfly. I think To Pimp a Butterfly shows you how a piece of art can, I wouldn't say necessarily change the world, but it certainly draws attention to issues in a way that I don't think any other art form really can, because you're talking about an album that is saying all the historical things that we've been talking about, that is however many times platinum album, reaching millions and millions of people across the world. There's not really another art form aside from film that could really do that. But the thing I always say about music, you listen to music every day, all day, where you sit down, you can watch a few films a week, and you're only watching your favorite films maybe once or twice every couple of years. Where To Pimp a Butterfly and music in general, it soundtracks our life in a way that is really unique as an art form. It's the only art form I can think of that does that. And so when we're talking about coloring the 21st century, I think the impact of Kendrick Lamar and To Pimp a Butterfly in this conversation just cannot be overstated. That being said, I think what you said about Blonde is like incredibly important. And I think you know me, I love music capturing the feeling of being alive and what it means to be human. And I would agree that it's the beauty of life, which can be sometimes hard to see and feel at times, is captured in Blonde in a way that I think is just really, really special. And I don't know if I can think of another album in this century that does it as well as Blonde. When I listen to a song like Self-Control, a song like Siegfried, even a song like Nights, it's like, it is some of the highest emotional highs listening to music I've ever experienced, So,
and here's the thing, I think what you said about Frank being maybe like a ding against him might be his greatest asset, where I think for Kendrick almost, I think he had to sacrifice a lot to take Drake out, if I'm going to be honest, because I'm at a point now where I'm just like oversaturated on Kendrick, and that's nothing that has to do with him. That's more so the culture in general. And obviously that's not going to weigh that heavily in our conversation. But I do think that I actually prefer the fact that Frank Ocean is more of he's a type of artist where it's like he gave us a perfect album. Now he's off doing whatever he wants to do. Because I'm just like, if he was on the trajectory where even he was releasing an album every 2 or 3 years, I don't think we would talk about Blonde the same way. I think we're allowed to have so many amazing things to say about Blonde because Frank hasn't said that much about it. Frank has let it live on. He's let it breathe. He's off making jewelry and cock rings and whatever else he's fucking doing. I would love some more Frank Ocean music. Do not get me wrong. That's not what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But I also just do think that there was no doubt in my mind that Blonde would get here. I had doubts in my mind that To Pimp a Butterfly could beat Good Kid, Mad City. And in the next 25 years, I do not think we will consider To Pimp a Butterfly Kendrick's best album. And that has nothing to do with To Pimp a Butterfly and everything to do with how talented of an artist Kendrick Lamar is.
Let's bring in Justin. We're not asking you to decide at all, but I would like your opinion on the conversation we've been having.
I've gone back and forth on this a lot, and I have literally been sitting here consulting reviews and Metacritic and websites that aggregate scores and reviews. And the more traditional or the more consensus pick is To Pimp a Butterfly. Now, we don't need to necessarily go with that. I think emotionally Blonde feels right to me on many levels.
Yeah.
It's funny. Me personally, when I put To Pimp a Butterfly away, sometimes I'm like, this is my second favorite Kendrick album, or this is my third favorite Kendrick album. Then I break it back out and I'm like, holy shit. What was I even thinking? This is so good.
Yeah.
Why could I even think that? I think because the type of music I listen to more casually might resemble Damn a little bit more. I might, all of his projects are so good. Something about Blonde really feels right to me, though. And I'm not saying that you should make the decision based on that. Because, like I said, a lot of the critics, a lot of the scores, a lot of the voting, a lot of the aggregated things, they would say To Pimp a Butterfly is not only one of the best albums of the 21st century, not only the best album of the 21st century, but one of the best albums of all time.
Yeah. But you guys know I love To Pimp a Butterfly, but Blonde to me is right there.
Blonde to me is right there. Here's the thing, man. You guys, I just have to say it. Because I fell in love again with To Pimp a Butterfly. I really, really did. In this exercise. Fuck. But I just think it is Blonde. I just really, really, I want.
Should we return to the categories to see if that helps us sway? I think, because not that it's going to call it, but let's just quickly go. Biggest song versus biggest song. Pink and White versus All Right. I think All Right.
All Right. Yeah.
All Right. Best song.
Wesley's Theory versus I Had Nights.
Nights or Self-Control, or Self-Control was your deep cut.
Even if we did Nights or Self-Control, I think Nights and Self-Control are better songs than Wesley's Theory, even though I love Wesley's Theory.
I will agree. In my heart, I think Self-Control is a better song than Wesley's Theory.
Worst song, I don't think will help a lot.
I don't think it
But best deep cut.
I will say the lows of Blonde feel less low than the lows of To Pimp a Butterfly. Generally speaking, I would say. There's not to say that, we're talking, again, reminder, this is a 99 out of 100 album and a 99 out of 100 or 100 album. These are perfect albums. So the low, when I say low, it's we're not talking about low. Anyways.
And then the All Right moment is bigger than the endless Def Jam.
It is, but I agree, but I don't know if we should undersell symbolically what Frank did as an artist, because I think it was important. I think it is an inflection point of something that's been happening in music in terms of artists understanding the importance of their independence and record labels being less and less significant in terms of making yourself an art, be heard. There's more ways to put yourself out there now. Artists are less dependent on albums than ever before. And I think it's important to acknowledge that aspect of Blonde, what it means symbolically to artistry in general, in terms of this is an independent release. That to me is very important. That Frank Ocean owns the copyright and the masters to that album.
Not only that, a queer black man with one debut album under his belt pulls off one of the biggest coups in like music history, like in terms of just like getting himself out of his deal, getting his masters, releasing everything on his terms, gaining control. To your point, I think has been the fight of recorded music since it has been a thing. And to like, yes, all right, I think culturally has that, but in terms of just like the music industry and the importance of artists fighting to get as much control and much power as their art.
You know what it is? It's exactly what Kendrick talks about in Uncle Sam. Frank did it.
Frank did. So that is, and then if we go deep cuts, it's just like, oh, man. I think White Ferrari is better than Hood Politics.
I would say the same thing too.
But
I would say the same thing too. Like,
but there's other, like, what other, like, You to me is just as important and just as narratively dense and as complex as anything fucking on whatchamacall.
So the categories maybe don't help us.
They don't help us. All right. If we were talking about, I think Kendrick has it as he is the more important artist of the 21st century. I think he has the better discography over Frank. Is there anything, do you also think that a lot of what we're talking about when we're talking about To Pimp a Butterfly, or at least the critical consensus around it, is Kendrick Lamar has so many good albums and has so many moments? I think a lot of times we are looking for an album when we point to it. We're not just talking about the album. We are talking about, we want to honor what this artist is doing and has done.
Yeah.
Where it's like, I don't think To Pimp a Butterfly might be your favorite Kendrick Lamar project anymore. Just personally, it might be Mr. Morale.
It's in the, I mean, I would say it's interesting. You guys know my love for the album. It changed my life in many ways. I think Blonde has aged better for me. Like, I appreciate Blonde more and more, where I think my appreciation for To Pimp a Butterfly will never expire. But seeing what Kendrick has done after, you can have the case, like, to me, Mr. Morale didn't do all the cultural things that To Pimp a Butterfly did. That was a once in a lifetime timing aligned. So many things aligned for that album to be what it is, and it captures that moment in time. But Mr. Morale to me is just as important conceptually, thematically. That album you can actually change your life through if you follow the blueprint that Kendrick lays out in that album. So Blonde to me, maybe because it is so singular and we haven't got too much from Frank, it is aged. It's getting better and better and better with age, where I think To Pimp a Butterfly to me just is lightning in a bottle in terms of like, here's 2015 in America.
Yeah.
And it captures that so incredibly well that, I get why it's the obvious pick. But I'll just reveal to you throughout this entire exercise, even when we started it, in my heart of hearts, it's kind of always been Blonde. It's kind of always been Blonde.
It's always been Blonde.
Which is so weird to hear me to say. I'm the To Pimp a Butterfly fucking guy.
I actually thought that it was gonna, I don't know if we're ready to pick Blonde. I actually was very, very worried that Blonde would struggle against To Pimp a Butterfly, because I think if we were just going based off the categories lined out, I think To Pimp a Butterfly has the bigger song. It has a bigger cultural moment. It has the critical consensus on its side. And when we even though I think songs like Self-Control and Nights might be better than like a Wesley's Theory, once again, we're talking about like point, like just like, like just we're getting so close. For the fans, I feel like we could be like, hey, yo, Kendrick is the most important artist of the 21st century so far.
Yeah.
But I think we both agree that Blonde is the best, has to be the last album standing of the 21st century so far.
Think about it. Nikes, Ivy, Pink and White, Solo, Self-Control, White Ferrari, Siegfried, Futura Free, Solo Reprise, like...
Think about
Nights.
Think about how we felt watching him build the fucking staircase.
Yeah.
Endless. Just, I think it has to be Blonde, guys.
I'm ready to call it. I'm going Frank Ocean's Blonde.
Frank Ocean's
last
Blonde.
album standing. Justin,
did we make the right choice, JS?
Your final referee role of the season.
I feel great about this.
Okay.
I feel great. This also feels fitting, and this is the point where I tell you that the real prize after a couple years is I actually got the cock rings. For you guys. So if you guys really want to have a white boy summer,
hell yeah. Honestly, I feel great about this pick.
I do too. And also it's not the obvious one. I think people, if they're betting, they would be betting on To Pimp a Butterfly.
I was betting on To Pimp a Butterfly.
Such I was involved, but everyone knows I love To Pimp a Butterfly. But there is something I can't precisely articulate what Blonde does to me emotionally. But every time I listen to it, every time I put it on, it makes me feel things consistently throughout the entire thing. That it's why I love it. To Pimp a Butterfly does the same thing, but there's something more visceral about Blonde. The way it fucking just touches my soul in a way that there's just some, like when I hear Self-Control and I hear that part that I always point to, like that is the transcendent quality of music that it's the reason why I love music. It's the reason why I'm so passionate about music is for precisely moments like that. And if I'm just being true to what I feel in my soul, it's Frank Ocean's Blonde.
I couldn't have said it better myself, man. I could not, when we started this, I was like, man, this season might be really, really too easy. We're not going to argue. This has been the most like I was walking out of here, I was like, yo, I can't believe it. How are you feel? Like we did it, bro.
All right. This is beautiful. I love the journey we take every season. And I love that we always end up like pretty much like agreeing.
Like aligned.
Yeah.
Like there was a lot of fights to get here, but also it's funny, as much as I was like fighting like on each individual episodes, when I actually saw the list, like outside of the game format of trying to win, I was just like, all right, we did it. Like we did it. Like if anyone wants to argue, like here's the thing, you can argue, you could be like, you could have picked this, you could have picked that, but I do think that there is a level of like, we picked at least one album that every music fan I think could point to and be like, that changed my life. And
let's call it what it is. It's just an excuse to revisit these fucking beautiful albums. And I think that's my favorite part about doing this is just the gimmick and the structure is one thing, but I just want to talk about some of the best music that we've experienced in our lifetimes. And I think
it's in the same way you added, you went back to Discovery, you went back to Daft Punk and like found something in it. My Radiohead journey is a little bit different than yours. I'm a little younger than you.
Yeah.
So actually getting to sit down with Kid A, hear it, appreciate it. I'm listening to Kid A, like it's broke through into just my daily rotation. Like it's helped me get through stuff that I'm dealing with in my life. It's just like, I think that same thing when like Solange, that album was so important to me at a point, and then just certain things happen. You're like, I can't listen to this album anymore. There's too many memories attached to it. And you go back to it and you re-fall in love. So I've been able to re-fall in love with albums and artists and moments in a way. And that's why I was just like, hey, before we go back to the old last song standing structure, I will once again letting you through the door. We had a couple artists we were thinking of, and then Justin was like, hey, yo, guys, this is kind of like the only time you can do this.
25-year mark. So hit us up for your suggestions for next season, because I think we have like kind of something we want to do, but
I think there's no artist that will be hard to beat, and you guys could probably guess who it is. But hey, a year's a long time. At any point somebody can supplant that shit. What's going on, Justin?
Is this finally when we do the Cameron season?
Hell yes. Hell yes.
I want to do a clip season now.
Clips?
How fun would that be?
All right.
Or Daft Punk season. Anyways, we'll decide. Charles, this was beautiful. Thank you. Justin, thank you.
Thank you. And also thank you to every single person that has touched this podcast this season. It is, I think, one of the great joys of me moving to the West Coast is this is the first season that we've got to do in person. But because of that, there are countless editors and producers and just people who like we have brought in to help make this possible. So thank you to all of them.
Can I just shout out really quick because we got CT here.
CT, my man.
Then we got Chris Wohlers, who was manning the first couple. We had Felipe in here.
Yep.
We got Kevin.
Kevin's
editing every episode.
Kevin. And then Jonathan Ratliff is the one who put together this beautiful set.
Yep.
Hell yeah.
Beautiful.
Don't forget, thank you to Yasi. Thank you to Rob Harvilla.
Always thank you to Yasi and Rob Harvilla.
And thank you to the listeners for
and
taking this journey with us.
Thank you to the fans, bro. Thank you. Y'all were kicking our ass. I was like, I did not like usually like people get mad, but like I was reading some of the comments. I'm like, yo, people love these. They are coming out. People making TikToks be like, oh, I can't believe.
All right, man. Beautiful journey. Love you, man.
Love you, man. Hell yeah.